Hello again and welcome to my museum vlog. My name is Kate Round and I work as an outreach worker and as a tour guide based here at the Red House Glasgow. Last time we had a look at the strange shift patterns worked by the glassmakers and their pay system. Today we're going to have a look at the tools that they used and how they increased their earnings by making handmade tools. Glassmaking in Stourbridge from the 1850s was a flourishing and extremely successful industry with many family-run businesses. Names that we remember, now long gone from our streets, the Stewart Crystal, Royal Briley Crystal, which was Stevens and Williams, the Webbs, the Corbetts, the Richardsons, to name a few. Although it was an industrial process, the glass was handmade. It's an art form, a bit like pottery, where pieces are free-formed, free-blown and fashioned to perfection. Glassmakers needed hard-earned skills and dexterity to produce the delicate lead crystal tableware in dark and bustling conditions of a Victorian factory floor. The difference between pottery and lead crystal, however, is the working temperature. It means that they needed tools as extensions to their hands to fashion the molten metal into its fine, precise shape before it cooled and hardened. It's time to get our hands dirty. Come with me. The glassmaker's bench, known as the chair, was positioned opposite to the pot of metal. The temperature of the metal was at the top of the working range of glass, around about 1150 degrees Celsius. Each glassmaker had his own tools. They were carefully selected, cleaned and laid out at the start of the move. Glassmakers' tool making was an ancillary industry in Stourbridge. Notice the bucket of water to soak the wooden tools and the newsprint. The main tools used by a glassblower are a blowing iron, a hollow tube like a straw, and a punty iron, from pontil meaning bridge, similar to a blowing iron but solid. The irons are kept hot, ready to gather the metal. The marver, from the Italian for marble, is a cool, smooth table for shaping the glass. Glass is gathered on the blowing iron, which is about 5 feet long, to stop heat transfer to where the glassblower held the iron, and the gather is blown to inflate. This is the glory hole. To shape the glass, it must be in the working range between about 700 and 1100 degrees Celsius. Hotter than 1100 and the gather of glass is too runny to manipulate. Cooler than 700 and the molten glass starts to harden. Watch a glassmaker working. They are continually reheating the glass in the reheating chamber or glory hole. The glass can be free blown or blown into a mould to take on the shape and design of the mould. The marver is also used to gather colours in the form of ground glass or frit by picking it up off the marver and reheating to fuse the colours to the glass. The gather is then further inflated and shaped. A shaped block is a wooden tool used to smooth and shape the glass. It's soaked in water before use and it creates a layer of steam as the molten glass is shaped. These would often be made by the glassblower at home from a fruitwood found in his garden. Fruitwood holds a lot of moisture to resist burning. Making the tool to suit the size and shape of the pieces helped them to work more quickly and more accurately. Glassware usually formed part of a set, meaning they needed to be the same size and shape. This tool is used at the beginning of glass making, before the glass is inflated. Jacks are made from two metal blades that connect at the handle. They're used to manipulate the glass. The tips of the jacks are used to drip water onto the piece to create a line of weakness, to allow the piece to be cracked off the blowing iron after a punty has been attached to the base. A glassmaker will use a wad of wet newspaper to help him shape the gather of glass. Wet newspaper is the ideal material for this. It protects the glassblower's hands from the heat because it's non-porous, so allows no hot steam to escape. The glass glides on a cushion of steam and the paper doesn't burn. Materials such as cloth or leather wouldn't work because they're porous. The handles of the metal jacks are used to flatten the base of the piece. Glassmakers' calipers or dividers are used to check the circumference of pieces to ensure that they are the same size as other pieces in the set. Parrot nose shears or diamond shears are a scissor-like tool with a diamond-shaped blade. Used as shears, the four-sided blade allows for a more compact and rounded cut of the hot glass, leaving less of a tool mark than the two-sided straight shear. The parrot-like beak at the end is also used to steady the punty iron, punty rod, as it attaches to the base, and a line of weakness made before cracking off the blowing iron. A Soffietta is used to inflate a glass vessel after it's been taken off the blowing iron. Smaller gathers of glass on a punty add trails of hot decoration to a piece, guided by the shears. Straight shears cut the molten glass. Excess glass is trimmed off to create a smooth edge before the opening left by the blowing iron is widened. Parchoffi are similar to metal jacks but are made from wood or graphite. They don't leave marks on the glass the way a metal jack does. The blades of Parchoffi and jacks are used to widen the mouth of the opening of the glass. Wooden paddles kept soaking are another homemade tool and used both to help shape a piece and to shield the gaffer's arms from the heat. Tweezers allow the glassworker to manipulate hot pieces of glass. Their long, narrow construction make them easy to manoeuvre when sculpting small pieces of molten glass. Pontilline again brings small gathers of glass to add handles to jugs, stems and feet to stemware. A crimp is a tool used to add decorative elements to the glass. Available with various patterns and textures, hot bits of glass are squeezed between the textured surfaces of this tool to leave pattern indentations. The piece is then cracked off the pontilline, ready for annealing. With stemware, a stem and foot are added, and a gauge for foot making. Another homemade wooden tool to help the glassmaker add the folded foot to the stem of a glass. Different sizes on the gauge kept the size consistent. Notice the charred marks inside the gauge, which shows the size that was used most often. A folded rim on the foot strengthened and prevented chips. The shape for the Beaconsfield tableware was always in production. At the end of their first turn of 6 hours, the glassmakers would have made at least 80 pieces by the process to earn the minimum wage. Next time we will meet the designers, both in-house and commissioned, who made sure that Stuart Crystal products were both desirable and at the forefront of fashion. See you next time.